Hello there, it's Josh here from Racing to Profit. I hope you can see me briefly and hear me. I'll try and ensure the sound doesn't drop off in this video, where I am going to focus on the Cambridgeshire Handicap, which is at Newmarket on Saturday. I'm in good form. The blog's doing okay. A winner yesterday in my specialist area 3 mile chasers. Now I'm going to switch over, of course, to a 35, 37 runner, 9 furlong handicap. Get your pins and darts at the ready. But it was quite fun watching him get up late on the line. What did I want to say? I'm excited about the jump season ahead as it gets going proper. But as I said, today's video is going to look at one of the last big handicaps left of the flat season, I suppose. You do have, I've made tomorrow's trends post, which I've made it free to air. There's only the Cambridgeshire in focus, so you can have a flick through some of the stats and my kind of own unique approach to finding trends using the Excellent Horse Race base. And you can see the kind of all the different numbers and figures and pick out, if you like, any certain pointers. I've applied them, mainly the 13. Well, I created a bit of a profile there, which you can read through. Of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, click the link below this video and you can go and have a look through this post if you wish. In these sorts of races, and my approach, the winner can often enough be found within the trends kind of long list or short list. I couldn't get it shorter than what is now 10, because there was a couple of non-runners of Richard Fahey's that were on this list, and they're either can be located within that trends short list or long list, or they are on the trainers list, and these are trainers to have won the race in the last 13 renewals with runners. The thinking, of course, being that they know the type of horse needed to compete in such race, and they may well have targeted said horse at this handicap, or in any case from their stables. That's the ones who they think are most likely to run well in conditions, so they're always worth a flick through as well. In part 3, if you like attacking other races on TV, and the ITV races in particular, you can find a trainers list here, or what I call trainers pointers. These are simply horses representing trainers who have won the race previously in the period under study, which is from horse race basis, normally the last 12 or 13 or 14 renewals. So these horses within these races here represent trainers who've won the race before, and again, that logic, they may well have targeted the race. They may know the type of horse required to do well in said race conditions historically. So you can flick through some of those. These red symbols are simply ratings, horse race base ratings, and GG's speed ratings. G1 means top rated, GG speed, G2 second rated within the race, which is hopefully straightforward enough. And then obviously the H is a symbol as well, signify H2 Joal's second in horse race base total rating. So they can be a bit of a pointer. You can just focus sometimes on those horses with those red symbols next to them as helping you to shortlist and do whatever you please. For some of you, you may have no interest in stats and trends at all, but if you do, like I said, you can have a flick through there and flick through this page and use all the information as a starting point in any way you please, or just ignore it. I am going to jump over to the excellent GG's Gold, which, of course, as you know, I use their race cards plenty. I should just log in. Give me a second. So these are the cards for Saturday. Here's Newmarket. The ground's going to be pretty quick, isn't it? I should have done this. I haven't checked the times for some of the races this afternoon, but I mean, it was good to firm good in places yesterday. It's been bright sunshine in this part of the world. I'm only about 10 miles up the road. I assume it's been bright sunshine there as well. And I think the weather looks set fair for tomorrow, but I'll double check that also. You would think it's going to be rattling quick, which of course won't suit every horse. This race can sometimes be run on in a bog, of course, as well. What am I going to say about this race? Where do we start? If you have a strong opinion on this, then, well, congratulations. Give yourself a pat on the back. I'm not 100% sure how anyone could be overly dogmatic about any horses in this race. It is a very unique race. Obviously, it's 9 furlongs. It's on the rolling miles, a bit up and down. There's 35 odd runners. They're probably going to split into 3 groups. There's at least going to be 2. Who knows which, if there's a track bias on either side, because there hasn't been a race there of this size across the track all week. And if there was a bias on previous days, they may water overnight to try and compensate. You just don't know, or it might dry out, etc. Of course, there's the pace element. You need loads of luck. And this is a bit like festival, kind of Cheltenham Festival handicaps in a way, and those big jumps festivals in a sense. There's a lot of runners, and in handicaps like this, they may be going a pace which lots of these horses have not gone in all season. A relentless hard gallop from flagfall, possibly from when the stalls open. And that strongly run nature of these kind of handicaps can transform horses who have either been too keen or, say, outpaced in smaller fields that have been run at a dawdle, turning into a sprint. Horses can discover that this is their MO, and they just love that kind of end-to-end gallop. They love running through horses. They like, it gets their competitive juices flowing, being surrounded by horses. Others hate it. And that's similar with all kind of big field handicaps and races, that pace element and relentless nature, or, sometimes the relentless nature of races like this can transform a horse's fortunes, which of course makes the puzzle even harder to solve and a bit more complex. But they're all kind of things to put in the pot when considering attempting, I suppose, to solve a puzzle like this. You could just leave them and watch for interest. I'm actually going racing to Newmarket on this card tomorrow on Saturday. And I will just chuck £2.50, or maybe if I'm trackside, five English pounds on 3 or 4 horses, probably at decent prices. And I'll kind of highlight a few that on a quick glance through looked interesting enough, using my stats and trends also as some kind of starting point. But I should try and say something useful as always that will help you try and solve the puzzle. But yes, I kind of wouldn't go mad on these particular handicaps personally, but then, that's up to you. It's more luck than judgment in races like this for me. If you've watched these videos before, you can see the kind of dashboard in front of you. I will get rid of my face. That's probably plenty of enough of that. And yeah, so you can see more of this dashboard in front of you here within GG's Gold and their superb race cards. The first thing you could note is trainers in form. This doesn't mean trainers without a 14 and 30 are out of form. But as you can see there, 5+ runners, 14 days, 20% plus win strike rate, or 51% plus place. That's what the 14 means. 30, 10+ runs last 30 days, 20% win, or 51% plus place. That'll be win and place percentage. So John Gosden's are going particularly well in that sphere. Paul and Ollie Coles, Saibin Sarors, Sir Michael Stouts, Gosden again. George Margerson's are going okay. Michael Bell's not too bad. Haggis, Roger Varian, Rafe Beckett, Marcus Dragoning, so on and so forth. You can pick out a few more there. Haggis are going okay. Saibin Saror, Muir and Grassick. So you could just create a list of those whose trainers are in that sort of form, and that's not a bad strategy. I've flicked through plenty of these race cards before. Big races, weekends, you name it, and just homing in on, you notice kind of trainers in form, their horses obviously running well, and that's sometimes not a bad kind of starting point if you want to shortlist. You've got those trainers who have a decent track record, and jockeys, of course. Again, you can pause this video in the different stages. Those jockeys riding with confidence, those that might ride the course quite well. The stats within GG's, I think, actually combine the 2 Newmarket tracks. George Bowie does well here, and has a pretty good record at the 2 Newmarket tracks in the last year, 9 from 36, 19 places. That isn't bad. So that kind of figure might mean that his are worth a look, and clearly he's been having a great kind of first season. Is it proper? Certainly the last year, as you can see the stats there, maintaining a kind of 19% win strike rate takes some doing. Over that many runners, Balding doesn't do too well. Doesn't do too badly at the Newmarket tracks. Owen Burrows, Saeed, not too bad either. So again, you could look at those trainers who have a decent course record. There's also, obviously, we'll get onto the horses in a minute, who are quite important. You've got various different ratings down here. You can look at the Racing Post ratings, how they calculate the cards on the day. I mean, ratings are only ever a guide and one part of the puzzle. As one of my members said to me with who I tipped in that jumps race, apparently he was atrocious on time form figures. I don't use time form, but that's just evidence that they're only ever part of the puzzle. The GG speed ratings down here again, you can see some of those. Let me jump over to Instant Expert, shall I? As I tick around to 10 minutes, I'll try and whiz up. Good to firm ground. Not every horse likes proper fast ground. What I am going to do, actually, before I do that, there's a couple of non-runners in this. I believe, where are we? Hartswood for Fahy, so I can just click that cross there and get rid of him. I believe Spirit Dancer's a non-runner. And who else is a non-runner? I think, yeah, Plant Dream there, that's come up as non-runner there. So I can just get rid of those three. From Deliberations, let me click Instant Expert. Again, I can't get every horse on the page here. Nearly. So, I mean, you can pause that, of course. So this is all form, all races, all codes. I mean, if I could just put on flat, so it's on the turf. Obviously, this is their record on good to firm ground. This could be rattling quick, as I said. Focusing on horses who have won more than once on the fast surface is never a bad place to start. That would indicate they do like it, rather than having got away with it once, for example. So Magical Morning, good to firm doesn't seem a problem there. Maria's Diamond, Astro King, okay, but one. Irish Admiral, some of these, Ropey Guess, Breath Court, in terms of winning form on good to firm, have questions. Some of these horses haven't run on good to firm. Raise You, Uncle Bryn, that doesn't mean they can't handle it, but that's a question. I mean, he's kind of 7-1 joint favourite, isn't he? And he's as yet doesn't look like he's run on good to firm in his career, so that's a big question in the context of price. Possibly it could be it's what he's always wanted, and it's going to help him sprout wings even more. Power of Darkness, interesting, 4 from 11 on good to firm, so he clearly likes this surface. He's around 50-1. I'm going to touch on him in a moment. Yeah, so he clearly really relishes good to firm. Is that going to be enough for him to run into the places? Who knows? This race can throw up big price winners, 50 shots, 14 shots, you name it. I do think, like I touched on before, it's worth just, if you want some interest, sat in front of the TV change or at the races change, on picking 2 to 4 kind of half decent priced ones and just having a bit of fun and letting it roll. There will be many easier races to attack on Saturday than this one, of course, but where is the fun in just ducking and diving them? It's quite entertaining to have a go. And of course, if you get one right, it's quite good fun. You're Hired, not a bad record. He's getting on a bit, isn't he? Chichesto's been kind of hammered in the anti-post markets, tipped up in plenty of places after that. Facile Win at Ayr when last seen. Naval Commander does okay on good to firm. Data Protection. So if you wanted to look at those that have multiple wins on good to firm as a shortlisting endeavour, Data Protection, Naval Commander, Chichester, You're Hired, Power of Darkness, Maria's Diamond, Magical Morning. Is it as simple as that as shortlisting? Who knows? Now, that's all races. You could click on handicaps, of course. With non-handicaps, horses can get away with handling the ground, and handicaps actually, because of the nature of the races, they're maturing more. It might be as they get older, some horses want softer ground, vice versa. Some as they get older can actually want quicker ground. So you can look at the handicap record here, and again you can look at those that have got good to firm form, and Power of Darkness again 3, and You're Hired and Data Protection and Chichester, sorry. So those 4 or 5 are the only ones with multiple wins on good to firm. That doesn't mean something else isn't going to come forward and they all may be tailed off at the back of the TV. What else as you scan across? Like I said, you can pause this video, make notes obviously on this profile. This is the winning form. Bell Rock's obviously got a lot of weight to carry. You can look at those with course form. Those with form in big field sizes is interesting. So yeah, you can kind of skip down here. Breath Court. Some have class questions. Power of Darkness keeps cropping up there. He's got course form as well. That was probably at the July course, but they're linked and they're still both undulating a bit and a bit of an uphill climb to the finish, so similar in some regards. What else do we have here? I mean, Amethyst, interesting. Course form, I think these were both at the on the May, that would have been the roll in, and these two, one of them may have been a July course. Anyway, so form at Newmarket, maybe he just doesn't like travelling too far. Maybe he likes staying close to home, trained by William Haggis. That's a possibility. Data Protection, getting on a bit, looks a bit out of form, but I can touch on him as an each way prospect. given all of that green and amber. Is he? Will he bounce back to form here? You can see the handicap marks down here. The minus indicates they're above their last winning mark by that number of pounds. Lots of them are fairly close to their recent winning mark, so it does look competitive enough, and most of them are above their last winning marks. That would indicate this race is maybe full of fairly progressive horses still, and are still on the upgrade, which obviously makes things even more complicated, unlike some of these kind of weekday class 4, class 5, class 3 handicaps, even when you can just kind of shortlist, especially in 4-year-old plus handicaps when there's no unexposed 3-year-olds. You can shortlist simply based on who's around or below their last winning mark and judging whether those above them are now poorly handicapped. So that's interesting. You've got the place stats as well. And again, Majestic Dawn, he shows up in terms of, if you like, each way betting. Some of these might be interesting. Obviously, got a question mark, £10 above last winning mark. You're looking for kind of green and amber across the board if you want. Lecander's interesting. I thought he was better on softer ground. I could be wrong. He was second in this last year, beaten 4 and a bit lengths, staying on in softer ground. Will he get more outpaced here? He could be staying on into the places he was beaten it last year. In my head, that means he might be open attack from something else, but we know he handles kind of race conditions, the cavalry charge in this track and this time of year, etc. So not impossible. Power of Darkness, interesting again. You're hired, interesting. Is he going to bounce back? Data Protection again. I mean, they're more exposed, but they keep cropping up, and they might be worth a look. Certainly, there might be big prices in terms of running into the places. I haven't looked at terms. You might be able to get 6 or 7 places in this race. Maybe some bookies might go 8. I'm not sure. So that's a consideration. Pace, of course. Let's touch on pace. Pace wins the race. Well, sometimes, especially kind of jumping, trying to find horses who are going to make all, etc. Hold on a second while that's struggling to load. Wait a second. Right, here we go. Now, what have we got? Good to firm, 16 plus. You can see 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 examples. Being held up isn't impossible on mid-division. Leading, can help. I've sorted this by draws. We've got one here. Now that's going to be near side. Sorry, no, that one's going to be far side. So as we're looking on TV across the track, one is going to be up against that far side rail. And 37 up against the near side. So yeah, no, I'll keep it like that. So that's going to be far side. So or I could organise it so, yeah, high here. So these are going to be up against the near side rail if we were kind of stood up here looking across, if you were at the races. Now, what do we want to focus on here? I'll just stop whizzing that. You can pause that and have a ponder if you so wish. You can pause that second half. I can't fit them all into one screen. Pause that and have a look if you wish. What caught my eye here? Jean-Baptiste races prominently and you're hired races prominently. Are they going to get out and be 1-2 through this and bag that far side rail? I've no idea if that's going to be a slow part of the track or the middle or the near side is going to be quicker. Who knows? That's why this race is even more of a kind of guessing game, I suppose. But some logic. Could those two get out and stay prominent and not be pressurised and keep just galloping through the line? They both handle fast ground, I believe. They're both probably a half decent price. Interesting, especially if you like a kind of each way play, maybe. Your hide's obviously open to attack from something better treated, but maybe there's a bit of pace there. This race is more difficult because then there's pace also in the middle. Is that going to be the place to be? Are they going to be split into 2 groups? One big bunch comes stand side, one big bunch goes far side. Are they going to stay in 3 groups? That might depend on what Jim Crowley does. He would probably go, if he goes anywhere, he's going to go low if he decides that's the kind of where the faster ground and the rest might then follow him on this side. Who knows? All part of the puzzle, all part of the fun. But Ammat's going to race prominently. Epic Endeavour might try. So some of these not impossible because there's a little bit of pace here, but if they don't split or the jockeys don't make a decision, will they be marooned up the middle? And then you've got those that are up against the near side rail. Data Protection can race prominently. Uncle Bryn will track. He's got a bit of class. Majestic Dawn, last year's winner in first time blinkers, might make all and get out. So looking at first time headgear angles might be interesting also. So a few points of notice there. These ones that being held up isn't impossible to win from, of course. Build it into the odds. These ones may have some pace to aim at, of course. And as I tick around to 20 minutes, what else should I finish on saying? I've only had a quick look. I mean, where the hell do you start? Come on. You know, you could probably give a chance to most of the field, to be honest with you. Plenty of them are turning up in form. Plenty of them are unexposed enough. And like I said, because of the nature of the gallop and this type of race conditions, some of them can transform and step forward again. Looking at my trends, I was intrigued by Power of Darkness, who's around 50 to 1 because of the yard form. Because he's got a first-time visor on, it might mean he blows his brains and actually races too keen and falls out the back of the telly. But he has course form, he has good to firm form. And what I pondered was whether a frenetic gallop in a big runner race, end-to-end 9 furlongs, might be ideal. They went really slow at Doncaster. He was slowly into stride, midfield, outpaced. That didn't look ideal for him. Newmarket did okay, probably won despite how that race panned out. That was probably the July course, I think. But yeah, no, the first-time visor might wake him up, especially out the stalls, and it might be all his life, all he's ever wanted is an end-to-end gallop. I mean, he is 5 from 17, maybe he's a bit exposed, but he did win a decent Ascot handicap down here off 94, so he's in and around that mark. He does have some ability, and on good to firm ground, so he is interesting. And I might just go all on the nose at Betfair starting price, or probably more wise is kind of £2.50 each way or something, with a load of places to fire at. But I do think he's interesting at a price. I also thought the other Haggis horse. Now, Tom Marquand has. I assume has chosen Irish Admiral, so that might be a sign itself, but who knows. It's whether this horse, who stayed on well over Newmarket 7 furlongs and looks like he wants a bit further, he's clearly something's an issue. He was wide early there. I haven't watched this replay. They've put first-time cheek pieces on, so that's a reason for why he may now spark into life a bit more. I don't think this marks beyond him. He's only 4. He's 4 from 7.5 in career. Fast ground's okay, I think. I mean, he hasn't won over 8 furlongs, so I mean, even this 9 furlongs question, but he has stayed on well over 7. So who knows? He's around 33s. David Probert's on. He's 2 from 2 riding for Haggis. So no bad thing there necessarily. He rides the track all right as well. So he might be interesting for Cheveley Park second colours. And, you know, jockeys do get it wrong sometimes, but he probably does need the cheek pieces to work. But maybe a return to Newmarket, fast ground, proper gallop might do the job. There's You're Hired. He is 8. He does have ability, but maybe this is going to be a bit too much for him. But, you know, one length of Uncle Bryn, kept on. He might not be too pestered on that far side. You know, he might cling on to a place. That wouldn't be impossible. I would think something a bit younger, more unexposed would have him, but who knows. The other one of the 3, so yeah, I mentioned Power of Darkness. Amethyst interested me at a price, and so did Jean Baptiste for Bowie, also drawn low. So on that far side, he stays further. There's a question over the ground, I suppose, but I say that he ran well on good to firm in these 2 races, and again, this is all small field form. And, you know, he put on a decent performance there, one going away when he got a 14-runner race. That was when trained by Stout. He's yet to have a big field and a frenetic gallop. I kind of like the fact he's had a 75-day break before that run at Chester, kind of suggesting this may have been a planned target. Who knows? And, yeah, I was just intrigued. Back on fast ground. That Thirst ground wasn't too bad. He kept on over 8 furlongs in an okay class 2. It wasn't awful. And, you know, his mark looks all right. Will he be able to race prominently in this relentless gallop with 8 stone 2, £5 Alla Beach? Will he be able to stay up there and stay in the top 5-6? I think when I looked, he was about 100 to 1. I should probably have to put £2.50 each way at those kind of odds, because that'll obviously be half decent return and a couple of rounds at the bar, or maybe 1 round at the bar at Newmarket, if he so clings on to a place. But I did think he was interesting. So those 3 at monster odds, I'll bring my face back, although, those 3 at monster odds at a quick look through for a bit of fun, a bit of interest. are the ones that kind of intrigued me on what was a fairly quick, well, not, a brief flick through. I have not opened up every horse, gone through every horse in detail, looked at hot form lines, all their conditions, etc. For me, in a race like this, there's no point. Yes, some people specialise in these type of races, and they've probably been looking at it since Thursday and put kind of 3 or 4 hours in. Good on them. That doesn't interest me anymore in these big flat handicaps. I would much rather focus and put all that energy into these 3-mile chasers and 3 miles and further chasers. But with any luck, I have said something which is interesting, which may help lead the way to finding a decent each way bet for you, maybe using that Internet Expert profile, the trainers in form, course records, the pace analysis as well. Will something either side get out raced prominently and stay there? Not impossible. It might be quite hard to come from further back on that quick ground, depending on how hard they go either side, and who knows which wing is going to be best. So again, it may be best to have make sure you have something either side, or maybe one from far, one in the middle, one near. What's wrong with that? Nothing. So yeah, like I said, hopefully I said something interesting there. You've got the trends post, which if you're watching this on YouTube, you can click below and is free to wear. And yeah, have a go. Pick out 1 or 2 horses, or 3 or 4 if you want, for small change, bit of interest. And if you do land on the winner, give yourself a big pat on the back. But I've been speaking for 26 minutes now, so that 15 minutes worked out well. But with that said, thanks for watching. As always, do post a comment below on that free trends post if you want. Any questions, comments, whatever, always welcome. Or on YouTube, do click like if you like, dislike if you dislike. I don't really mind. You can let me know why. What can I improve? And do click subscribe as well if you're watching this on YouTube, because then you'll be alerted when these videos drop and new ones appear. And if you like watching them, that might be fairly useful. But with that said, have a great weekend. Good luck with any bets on Saturday in particular. Do use some of those trainer inform pointers. Some of these trainers might have winners on other cards or other TV races on the day, given some of the form they're in. And yeah, happy punting. Best of luck. Thanks for watching, and speak soon. Have a great weekend.